One by one I try to catch up with all the promising Indian movies available on Netflix here in Austria, and my next one is Airlift. Maybe some of you know me a little bit by now. I'm a huge sucker for movies that center around people who will overcome big and inhuman obstacles. People who are pushed against the wall and are still able to fight back. People who decide to do the good thing even if it's the hard way. And when good will conquer evil at the end, I just can't help myself. And I'm happily admitting that I was crying like a baby at the end of Airlift. But before we get there, it's a long way. Airlift is a 2016 Indian historical drama directed by Raja Krishna Menon, and it tells the true story of the biggest evacuation ever carried out by a civilian airline. In 1990, Air India evacuated over 170,000 people when Iraq had invaded Kuwait. This movie tries to tell that story, but I can tell you right now, even without much researching, it's pretty obvious. It's rather short on facts and the complex operation is very simplified. It even says so at the beginning, and for me that was okay. Just because something is based on true events, it doesn't mean it has to tell those completely accurately. It all depends on the vision of the filmmaker or filmmakers. In this case, they chose to focus way more on one individual and his change of nature and the way he becomes an outstanding hero in light of terrible circumstances. Airlift stars Akshay, Kumar as the wealthy Indian businessman Ranjit Katyal, who is based on two real persons. We have to call it as it is. At the beginning of the movie he's just a real dick, superficial and with no remorse when it comes to putting money and personal success in front of everything else. But this will change drastically in the course of the movie, and at the end you can't really help but to cheer with him all the way. There's one key moment that switched his persona, and from there on, he tries everything in his power to help everyone around him. Airlift is a powerful movie, full of moments and scenes that pushed exactly the right buttons for me. But it's also one where the button pushing is quite apparent and you have to like such films. It's very black and white and simplified, and almost all characters are functioning more as simple plot devices than actual people. The Iraqi commander is just the biggest opportunist. There's one character, Mr. George, who is simply there to trigger certain conflicts, and it can almost get a little bit annoying. And there's exactly one Kuwaiti woman who has basically no personality whatsoever, but all those characters are there to show what's the right thing to do, and I can't help but it just worked for me. Airlift is well acted, very emotional and also gripping, and quite tense at moments. And not all the characters were that shallow, and besides our main guy, I really liked his wife, played by Nimrat Kaur. At first I had the impression the movie would sacrifice her in order to make her husband an even better person, but they give her some great moments as well. And even the one I loved the most, when she's telling Mr. George what's on her mind. Very powerful. There's also that one Indian that works for the External Affairs Ministry in New Delhi, with whom Ranjit is only communicating via phone. He speaks very softly, and at first I thought he just didn't care, but quite the opposite was the case. And Kumud Mishra gives a very nuanced portrayal, and I like that. Like you're used to, even with a very serious topic matter, Airlift has of course some songs in it, and they're quite good. The soundtrack was composed by Amal Malik and Ankit Tiwari, with lyrics written by Kumar. I'm certain I will listen to it a lot in the upcoming weeks. In the end, what I liked most about Airlift was its inspiring, positive message. It's not the most accurate depiction of what really happened, and you also have to know that it gets very, very patriotic. Even the trailer appeals heavily to this notion, as it states, "Be proud to be an Indian." Which is kind of strange, because the movie doesn't really compliment the country working together that much. Instead it focuses on one individual who couldn't look the other way. But I like that. In German I'd say, emotionales, mitreißendes und auch inspirierendes Kino. Klar, es ist alles sehr vereinfacht und man könnte sagen, manipulativ, aber wenn es ein Film schafft, mich derart zu bewegen, kann ich das alles verzeihen. I give Airlift 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.1, but I don't do that. Alright, that's it. Like always, comment below and let me know what you think about Airlift. You can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like, and make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.